I had ordered some supplies from my local Joann Fabrics, and I ordered them before the store even opened this morning, and they were still not ready for pickup. So I'm just gonna be doing a sew along whatever I was already working on, and at this point it was some pajamas for me and my daughter. So today I'm just gonna be sewing some pajamas unless people have specific requests. But if you have specific requests, let me know. Or if you want to have a tour of my sewing room or see any of my cool fabrics that I got from my friend Crystal who does custom fabrics, just let me know. If I could just get this needle in the hole, it'd all be great. Should have done the right one first. Okay, there we go. And then threading them is fun too, because I took out the lights on these because it caused too much glare for video, so putting new needles and new thread in is really fun without a light. Yes, ask me diaper questions. It's fine. I can always do more diapers too, so if there's a video that I haven't done and people want to see it, just let me know. Always happy to. You can also comment on my blog or message me in one of my groups, whatever. I'm always happy to answer questions. This time is really more just, to cover whatever people want to cover, and if you want to just sew along with me, that's fine. Or if you want to ask questions, that's fine. Or if you want to see the cool stuff that I have, that's fine. Whatever you'd like. I just wanted to set a time when people knew that I'd be here. Seems like I should get a needle threader over here instead of trying to do it this way. I have slow bit right again too. So for the fitted shell itself, I would stick to like very few in the shell. So I would say like, maybe 2 layers of flannel for the shell and maybe 1 or 2 layers of, like a sewn in soaker into the shell body. And you can use like the all-in-one kind of wider contour as long as it's set inside the elastics for your shell, if you want to have sort of a plusher shell. And then do the rest with like petal inserts or a trifold insert or a long fold insert. Like have something that fits into it so that it washes and dries better. It'll also full a lot better for prepping that way. So if you were going to put like, I would say for something like flannel and flour sack, I would say do like a 6 layer, 2 2 2 for your petal soaker, and then have your 2 layers of flannel for your body, and then you could do like, 1 or 2 layers more in the wet zone. So I wouldn't go more than 10, but I wouldn't sew them all together. If you were going to sew a lot of layers together, then you could maybe do like a 3 layer shell and then like a trifold, 2 or 3 layer insert so that it opens up and still washes and dries well. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but if you're using the non-stretchy, non-plush fabrics, you don't want to go thicker. It won't ever feel squishy. It'll kind of get hard, and that's fine. Like when there's more surface area to be washed and dried, it's a lot easier, and it'll hold just as much. As long as your ends are sewn together, it won't matter. Is that helpful? God, I really can't see anything because the light's so bad in here. I didn't want to wear my headset either because I just didn't want to have to be like moving around and not able to stand up. So the sound's gonna be a little strange too. What is everybody else working on right now besides newborn diapers? I'm gonna be doing a like a baby toddler hooded towel tutorial this week. I was just waiting to get some colored terry cloth. I only have white terry cloth right now, so that's what I was waiting on from Joanne, and along with thread and other things that I needed as well. But I was gonna do just two styles of hooded towels. One where it's the rectangle with the hood on the middle of the top, and then the one where it's just the diamond shape with the hood at the top. I use 3/8 inch for everything, but a lot of patterns call for 1/4 inch. If you were gonna do a cased elastic cover for newborns, like the flip style cover, then maybe the 1/4 inch would, seem trimmer. But I use 3/8 inch for everything, and I only have the 1/4 inch for like doll diapers and keychain diapers and like little things that specifically call for 1/4 inch. I've just always liked the feel and the sort of the snapback of 3/8 inch better. But that's really a personal preference because a lot of people like 1/4 inch for things. I'm just not one of them. I just don't feel like it has as much strength. It doesn't seem to like really snap as well, and it just doesn't seem as stretchy. Although some people use different styles of elastic too, so maybe if you're using a different type of elastic than I use the Stretch Right poly braided. So maybe if it was a different type, it would be different. Yay, my surgery started now. Are there any like diapering fabrics you want to look at or talk about or anything like that? Because I have like lots of old diaper fabrics here still. Like not enough volume to make a whole stash or anything, but I have a good sampling of the different fabrics. I wouldn't. Well, so for fitteds, then cotton swimmer elastic is probably fine because it's cotton. It doesn't really matter. I don't know how well it holds up. Is it the woven elastic? Because I don't even know how well that holds up to lots of hot washes and dries and stuff. I think the main reason for the poly braided is because you can use it in like pull covers and it doesn't wick the same way. But yeah, the braided elastic is usually what's recommended. I don't know if it's better. That's good, that's the best I can do for an answer. I would say for newborn fitteds, which aren't even worn for very many weeks, then you should just use whatever you have, as long as it has good stretch. For once you get into the one size and once you get into pull diapers, I would definitely switch. I only had 2 kids, so I'm not even a great judge of like what like years and years of washing does to diapers. I mean, I only used a few of the same between the two of them because they didn't fit the same things and they didn't like the same things. Um, but I have a friend who had like 6 kids in cloth diapers, and she would reuse the same diapers for each kid. And I don't think she said that any of her diapers actually held up through all 6 kids in 12, 14 years. Just because the elastic gets old, especially with all the washing and drying. She had some that I know lasted at least 4 kids worth though. Okay, so do you want me to just bring over a bunch of fabrics, or do you want to tell me the fabric and then I'll bring it over, like if you're curious about what certain things look like, and we can talk about them? Although I don't have any Zorb. I only once had a little tiny bit of Zorb that was given to me, but I never sewed with it except for the stuff that I specifically had for that one thing, and that was 11 years ago, probably. So that's like the one where I can describe what it's like because I have seen it, but I can't actually show it. Then I think you'll probably be fine in whatever, especially just for the newborn diapers, which they'll only fit for like, well, for my son, never. For my daughter, 3 to 6 weeks tops. That's why I really don't recommend people making like humongous crazy newborn stashes. Like I would say make a few fitteds for night, make, just use a bunch of pre-folds or contours or things that you can then reuse as inserts for, the baby when they're bigger. Because like a newborn fitted and a newborn cover isn't going to fit very long. And while it's nice to have that in those newborn days, it's a lot easier to manage a newborn for diaper changes, even though they're often and you're not used to it, than it is to manage a toddler in diapers. Yeah, I mean, the newborn size inserts aren't going to be the right size for one size pockets and they won't have enough absorbency. But if you had like a bunch of newborn or infant size pre-folds and you wanted to tri-fold those into the pockets and then add, the additional microfiber insert or whatever came with them, that would work. Um, One size diapers are a lot higher in rise than newborn diapers, so just the inserts just wouldn't be long enough at all. You could do something like, lay them side by side or do a long fold insert for the newborn that's already long enough for the one size and have them folded when they're in the newborn diaper and then have them doubled or tripled when they're in the one size diaper. That would work. So if you did like, 14.5 inch long or 15-inch long soakers that were fairly wide, and that's another problem is newborn diapers aren't as wide as one size diapers. So if you made them like the maximum possible width you could have for the newborn, and then used one of those unfolded plus a wider full length insert for your one size diapers, that would work really well, and that would be a really great way to utilize the newborn stuff again into the one size. So like if you made like, well, so a newborn insert is going to be a little thinner than this, right? And then you would then say, have your one size insert and have them be, close to the same length, but in the newborn have it like folded. And you could have, if it's a boy, you could have it folded at the front, and if it's a girl, you could have it folded at the back, or if it's for sleeping versus, like on the back for sleeping. But you could have it just folded for the newborn. And then when they get to the one size, you could then double it over or under the one size one and make sure the one side one is wide enough for the one size diaper. And then you would have more absorbency. But this by itself wouldn't be enough in the newborn. I mean, in the one size. So that would work, as long as you had that in mind while you were sewing them. Because for most of my fitted patterns, the newborns are these little contoured petal soakers. And if you're using that style, then you could put that over top of a bigger insert and have it stuffed into a pocket. But you couldn't use it by itself. It would kind of be nothing. I mean, it would hold a tiny bit more, but it wouldn't be enough. Even those doubled would have a bunch of gaps on the sides. It all really depends on what patterns you're using. So for you, I got some fabrics over here. I don't have any yardage of suede cloth anymore, but this insert had a suede cloth topper. And at Joann, it's called a lova. At there's another fabric store they used to call it like butter suede. It's suede cloth, which at the back is very like sleek looking, and then at the front it's a little bit fuzzy, but it's not suede, and it's not the best. It holds residue and stuff like that, but it's not stretchy, so it's an easy one to sew with if you're using a non-stretchy fabric. Yeah, boosters for sure. Um, and then the top, is it's not suede. I don't know why they call it that. It's kind of just like a soft brushed polyester woven fabric. That's really what it is. And then microfleece, which is a very, very thin fleece. The microfleece, I don't know if they still have it at Joann. They used to have one that was actually okay, but when you order microfleece online from like fabric.com and stuff, sometimes what they send you is actually more of like a thicker anti-pill fleece. I don't know what the GSM would be for it, but it's a lighter weight fabric. It would be probably considered like a light to medium weight fabric. It is barely thicker than a jersey. And if it goes a lot thicker than that or more plush than that, it's going to be harder to wick through. And what you do with the microfleeces is by themselves, water will sort of pour off them. So people think that they're repelling. But really, if there's something absorbent underneath it, and then there's weight right against it, that will press the moisture through, but it takes a little bit of time. So it's still not going to be a really fast wicking fabric, but it's usually enough because the elastic on the sides of the diaper will hold in the middle. But if you ever have problems with, especially younger, smaller babies, not, leaking out the diaper, but the insert's not soaked, That doesn't mean you necessarily have buildup on your microfleece, although you could scrub it with some Blue Dawn and make sure. It often will just mean there's not enough weight on it. And so what you can do to kind of foster that is put like a feel wet fabric, like a little bit of a, cotton or, flannel or, bamboo or whatever on top as well. And at that age, feel wet shouldn't be a big deal except for at night. And then that will sort of soak in and also be pressing, and that'll push through to the rest. So if you start to have problems and you think your diapers are leaking, but they're not absorbing all the way, it's more likely that the baby's weight isn't pushing the liquid through the fleece if you're using fleece. And a lot of retail diapers are fleece. The Bum Genius diapers are suede cloth. And then this is my personal favorite, but it's my least favorite to sew with, which is usually how that works. This is athletic wicking jersey. It's not quite like the what you think of as athletic fabric. It's more like the kind of like popular more undershirt, like Under Armour and underwear clothes. That's Amber Alert. Yeah, that's that's kind of like bumpy on one side. I don't know if you can see it real well. I don't know, great lighting in here. It's kind of like got like a dimple on one side and then it's smooth on the other, and it's very thin. And there's just no way that it could not, it's never gonna repel unless it's seriously coated with oils. It's a really great feel dry. I use it in period panties. I have black stuff that I use for that. I use it in, menstrual pads. It's really a nice feel dry fabric. You can also, use it for athletic wear and stuff, but it's my favorite. And once you get good at sewing with super stretchy fabrics, it's a really great stay dry to use. And if you're doing like squishy, like stretchy knits, like with jersey or interlock or fleece, then you could have a feel dry inside of your fitted as well. And that's a good option if you're serging, especially, because it doesn't matter that it's stretchy. And then this here is, this one is Bamboo Baby Terry, but it is a stretch baby terry, so it looks kind of like a jersey knit on one side. Yeah, they do have athletic wicking jersey at Joann. It's with all the Babyville pulls usually. Usually there's it in both rolled pre-cuts and also usually a bolt of white. I'm not sure if every location has it, but I know that it's online at least. I'm not sure if they call it wicking peak or wicking jersey, but they do have it at Joann. They did not when my kids were little, but now they do. Yeah, it's really great, and it's so lightweight. I would use athletic wicking jersey with just my really thin pulls for all-in-two shells when my daughter was a toddler. If we were like going to a park or something and I had like a diaper bag, or if we're going on a trip or to the zoo, my favorite diapers for her were just an all-in-two shell, like just a shell that was one layer pull, one layer jersey, like super thin, it weighed nothing. And then I would just do long fold soakers so that they were like, I could, layer them however I wanted, and they were super trim. And I could fit like 6 changes with 2 shells and 6 inserts, just like you would, in the space that it took to fit 6 dry disposable diapers into a diaper bag. Like, it didn't take up any more space than that. And they were the best, like, going out and going on trips diapers ever. Like, for the toddler age. I wouldn't use them for, like, sleeping or for a newborn, but for a kid where you just want to do a quick change and they're starting to get more solid poops and it's easy to clean the shell, like, the best diaper bag diapers, for sure. Mock mesh. God, it doesn't even look like mesh, though. That's so weird. But I mean, whatever, athletic mesh, I guess. And the stuff that's inside, like, the Grovia all-in-two shells, I would call that mock mesh, and it's not the same thing, but I guess. So yeah, then this is the Bamboo Baby Terry. This one is stretch. It's like jersey on one side. It's super stretchy, and it's a really super soft baby terry on the inside. It's a great fabric for flats, for squishy soft fitteds. Really for anything. It's so soft. It's one of my favorites, but it's not thick, so you would have to use a lot of layers. But I like using it as like a top layer rather than like a velour, which won't really absorb all that much. This will absorb and stay soft, but it will snag Velcro, so you don't want to use it with something where you're washing it with Velcro. And then speaking of velour, this is bamboo velour. It's like silky soft, very kind of shiny. It's also like a jersey or an interlock on the back. It's not as stretchy as the think it's only one directional stretch too, yeah. It's not as stretchy as the Stretch Baby Terry, but it is super soft. People love it for toppers on inserts, toppers on fitteds. It's just super pretty too. Poop just rolls right off it, nothing sticks to it. But it's not absorbent really. It's a topper, you know, it's a soft topper. I also like this on like period pads if you're not going for stay dry. Like it's really nice. And it's somewhat stay dry. It's kind of like a natural fiber stay dry option. It's doesn't feel wet, but it does absorb a little bit. So that's that. And then since I'm doing the velour, that is bamboo velour. This is cotton velour. Cotton velour is great. It's way thicker than bamboo velour. It's, you know, about the same amount of stretch. It's a little stiffer. It's not as soft. Some, I think Swaddlebees used to have a cotton velour topped like natural pocket. It's just a little more durable. It washes better, but it's not as soft, and poop does not slide off it as easily. But it is totally, you know, an option for the same kinds of things. I have some colored velour that I got from Crystal, who was the one who made the Opulent Monsters diapers, and she runs Sosery. She gave me a bunch of her velour when she moved, so I have like 10 colors of cotton velour, and they are so pretty. I want to make like a whole jumpsuit out of them. Maybe I'll make like a zipper hoodie jacket out of cotton velour. That'd be kind of fun. And then this is a really nice thick cotton interlock. Interlock is a knit that is a knit on both sides. So like, this one's been in the cupboard for too long. It's got spider webs on it. It's like a jersey knit, but it's like the double knit sweaters, where one side has the purl look to it and the other side does as well. So there's no off side. Both sides are on, and it doesn't curl at the ends because of it. So it's about twice as thick almost as a jersey, and you know, so thus almost twice as absorbent, and it just doesn't curl at the edges. But it's basically the same thing as any old cotton jersey knit. It's just thicker. And I like using it for dresses because of the way that it hangs, but it's a little heavier than the typical like jersey knits. So that's interlock. This is standard weight bamboo fleece. I don't have any heavyweight anymore. It's a little bit less, it's a little bit more than half as thick as heavy bamboo fleece. I don't like using heavy bamboo fleece. I've mentioned that before. A lot of people really like it, I guess because you can do fewer layers. It takes a long time to dry. And while it washes well and it absorbs well, it takes a long time to dry. And for me, like having my stuff come out of the dryer fully dry, not taking like more than an hour, that was a priority when I had kids. Especially if the dryer broke and I had to go to a laundromat or something like that. I really like the standard weight, and if it means using more petal layers, that's fine. Like one thing I really liked doing with the bamboo fleece was, and it looks like sweatshirt fleece. One side is a knit and one side is a brushed fleece. I also have cotton fleece, which is a little heavier than bamboo fleece. But one thing I like to do is make like long fold soakers. So like a long strip and then a second strip and then either serged or sewn together. And then you can fold it up however you want. You could also do a tri-fold soaker, but I liked long folds. And I know that back when my kids were babies, Blueberry diapers, which Blueberry Swaddlebees, I don't know if they've changed their names. They used to have a sort of a circular snake soaker that was really cool. I think they changed it. And it was basically like 2 times a normal insert length of either, you know, cotton or bamboo fleece. And then one section was microfiber terry, the poly kind. And they were all like a big loop. And then you could fold them however you wanted. So you could put the bamboo side on top and then have it be against the baby because the terry's underneath. And the fleece acts kind of like a chamois. It soaks in slower, but it's harder to wring out, which is also why it dries slower in the dryer. And the microfiber acts kind of like a sponge. It'll soak in super fast, but any sort of pressure, and even the weight of the baby, when you push on it, it'll squish out. So the point of having the combined, you know, one of each type for inserts or a combined form insert is that one will hold while the other soaks in quickly. So the microfiber will soak it all in, and then in the time it takes, you know, the bamboo to soak it in, that'll kind of redistribute it. So they might pee all at once and flood the diaper, but then the pressure will then soak into the rest. And it's a really good combination to do sort of like that microfiber plus bamboo, and you can get those super cheap microfiber shop towels that are like 14 by 11 or 14 by 14, and just tri-fold them and use them as the microfiber part, and then have like, you know, a pedal soaker or whatever you want, or even, you know, just a tri-folded bamboo, and put that on top, and the two together is like a really, really great overnight or active toddler who just floods their diaper kind of insert, because just microfiber just doesn't, it seems like it holds a lot because it gets so heavy, but it also drifts out. And even the best pull diaper is just not going to hold in all that pee without there being something to hold on to it. And that's what the really great for the combo is. And then this is cotton jersey. This one is a brushed cotton jersey that I stole from a sheet. It was a cotton jersey knit sheet. So this is a stretch, you know, a stretch, single layer, 100% cotton. It's just very thin. You can almost see through it. You know, it's like super thin. You would need a lot of layers of this if this was your only, you know, your only fabric for diapering. But it's really great for like the outside. It's easier to get clean than like a fleece. You could do something like have cotton jersey on the inside, and then have a jersey print on the outside, and then have 2 layers of bamboo fleece as your body. And those 4 layers together aren't going to be super thick, but that would be a really nice absorbent shell. And then you could have your insert be, you know, 4 total layers, 2 petals of something absorbent, and that would be a really, really nice squishy fitted. So that's the diapering fabrics. Anything else you want to see? I've got pulls too, but I'm sure you know what pull looks like. And then there's like anti-pill fleece, blizzard fleece, wind pro fleece, all that stuff. I'm sure there's even new stuff around. I have some wool jersey, and I used to have some wool knits and some wool, like felted wool that was stretchy still, that I got through some sort of company back when my kids were little, but I think I sold it or gave it away to a local lady who still made woolies, so. Um, they don't have 100% cotton fleece, they only have the poly fleeces for sweatshirt fleece. They have they have diaper flannel, which you may as well use regular flannel, honestly. They have what else do they have? They definitely have cotton interlock and cotton jersey. The thing is, it would be more expensive to buy clean fabric than to just upcycle t-shirts at that point. So while they do have things that would work, they don't have good things, and not for a price that's really worthwhile. You could do something like have an inner layer of regular cotton terry cloth, and then like have it topped on each side by cotton interlock or a cotton jersey knit, and that would be a really nice pedal soaker. Like 1 layer of cotton terry, and then have that sandwiched between 2 layers of interlock or something like that. Or even between, if you wanted to stick with non-stretchy stuff, you could do that in between 2 layers of flannel. That would be a good pedal. So like 2 layers of flannel around, you know, 1-on-1 around 1 layer of terry. That would be nice. I would first try to gather up old Holy t-shirts, honestly. Get a bunch of old Holy t-shirts, scrub them with some Blue Dawn, rinse them really well, you know, maybe OxyClean a little bit, and use those, cut those up. Use those for soakers. They're going to be nice and absorbent. They're going to be not cost you money, money if you have any Holy ones from your husband or from friends or neighbors. Anybody have any old Holy t-shirts? I need some rags. They don't know what you're using them for. Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't even really matter for stretchy. Like, stretchy is going to be the best anyway, just because of the squishy and the way it conforms to the body. So for t-shirt layers, I would do the shell 4 layers, two on each side of the elastic. And then I would do each petal 3 layers, 3 to 4, and then have, 2 to 3 petals. I did a t-shirt diaper in one of my videos. It's more about how to compile it. So yeah, depending on what size diaper you're making, like 2 t-shirts makes a good 1 size diaper, 2 adult t-shirts, and 1 adult t-shirt makes a good newborn diaper. You can get a great squishy diaper out of t-shirts. Like you could always also take an old washcloth or go to a Dollar Tree and get some of those cheap washcloths and use those as like, you know, instead of tri-folding them, folding them in half and have that be like the inside absorbency. So you could have like a t-shirt diaper and then folded terry cloth from like super cheap washcloths. And that would be really easy to wash and dry because they're already finished on the edges and stuff like that. Like recycled fabrics are really, really great for diapers because who cares what a diaper looks like, especially if it's on the inside. Like you could have a really pretty top print and an inner layer, but who's ever going to see between those and know what's actually soaking in all the pee, right? So I really am a big proponent for like use those old things. Like anything that's soaked. So my son has medical issues and they gave us a cotton like hospital blanket one time to go home in because it was cold out and he had to like load into the car. And we had to go there, I think, you know, from another appointment, so we didn't come with blankets for the car. And they gave us this like, you know, microwaved or whatever. They gave us this warmed up old like those little thin cotton blankets that you have in hospitals. And I had no use for it and it was ugly. So I cut it up and put it inside my daughter's diapers. It was great. It's way thicker and more absorbent than flannel. You know, you can cut it up, and make it into a flat fold, or make your own pre-folds out of things like that. And it actually was porous enough that it held snappies even, so it was pretty funny. So yeah, you can make really anything that's cotton or you know, or even natural rayons, um, anything like that can be a diaper. So yeah, don't feel like you have to buy new fabrics. But if you see people talking about fabrics, you know, now you can kind of gauge what they're talking about from seeing those. I think it's probably helpful. Anything else? Anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to cut some fabric because I was making some pajamas. I have this fabric that I got also from Crystal when she moved. That I don't think we'd ever use, but it says it's all about me, all over it. And we didn't have the right pink or the right turquoise, but I did have a matching yellow. And so I'm just making like oversized night shirts for my daughter to go with some pajama pants that I already made out of this fabric. And then I just traced a shirt that I already had. It's not from a pattern. I just traced a shirt and then, you know, did the front and the back and then assembled the neck just like I do for my doll clothes that I already have tutorials on. And then I did a stretch stitch around the neck so it's still stretchy. I just did a serge on one side and then I stretch stitched over the top. And it's just kind of a loose, you know, loose long shirt. And then for myself, I had this one panel, and I don't really have any fabric to match it, so it's I'm glad that I'm making it a pajamas and not a shirt because I don't have the right color of off-white. But I have this one panel that she also gave me, or I think that I bought from her, and not it wasn't hers, but you know, bought from her stash when she moved. So I just traced the shirt again. This is a bigger shirt for me because I'm, you know, fatter than my daughter. She's only 11, and then the matching print. I took a pair of pajamas and just traced them as well. But because it's for pajamas, I didn't bother doing 4 panels. I just did 2, kind of like how the Katrina longies are, but like adult sized. So it's just got the front curve and it's lower and the back curve and it's higher. And then the legs are the same length. And then when you put them together, you assemble them the same way. Because who cares, you know, how flattering pajamas are. But the butt curve's right, and that's all that matters. And then I've got my trim for my It's All About Me one. I've got sleeves here. But again, I just traced shirts. There's the 2 short sleeves. And then I was just going to cut another strip of 2 inches of knit jersey. See how it rolls up. And I'm going to cut another one for the other sleeve. And then we can just serge it up. But of course, keep asking me questions if you still have any questions about either any of my videos or about things that you want to see in the future or about diaper stuff or about my blog or anything at all. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has or talk about any projects you're working on. I'm just here to be here with you. it is so weird to cut on a table. I always cut on the floor. I'm a floor worker. I do all my crafts on the floor. And if anybody ever wants to like talk with me one-on-one, like with Zoom or anything like that, just let me know. Like I have few enough people at all these things that I am happy to set a time and we can do a Zoom call and talk about anything that you need troubleshooting with, or if you want to show me a problem you're having with your stuff or whatever you want. Just let me know. I'm just here to help. My schedule's pretty flexible. My kids are big, so they can handle themselves in school most of the time. The only time I'm really busy for me is like Pacific time during dinner, or like, when I'm trying to get them to bed, or if I have like a PTA meeting or something like that. Because those are things, and everybody does them on Zoom now. Or if there's anything that you want to learn how to make your own pattern for, like you really like the cut of a dress or a shirt or a pair of pants or whatever that you have, and you want to know how to make something that you already have, into a pattern for future sewing, as opposed to just buying a pattern or using a free pattern or finding the right tutorial online. I'm totally, totally happy to talk about pattern making and, mimicking other things. That's most of what I do. I don't ever buy patterns, but if I don't make it myself, then I copy and modify. So like there might be a shirt that you really like the fit on, but you want it to be styled a little differently, or, that kind of stuff. That's kind of how I work. I'm basically an engineer who sews. So before I had kids, I was an avionics electrical technician for a private aerospace company. So I used to do wiring plans and schematics for spacecraft, I guess. And before that, I did IT for schools. That was pretty funny. When I was in college and a little bit after. So I might sew more like a math science person versus a typical sewist. Nobody's talking anymore. So sad. Also, somebody should find me some copyright free music so I can not sit here in silence all the time. So I have like a source to just play like something in the background that won't get me in trouble. So everybody's so careful about copyright claims and stuff. Not that anything I have is ever going to be monetized anyway, but just because I don't want to, have any trouble. Okay, so for the sleeves. Like with everything else, you put your faces toward each other. So for the trim, You're just going to fold it with the faces out. If you're using a cover stitch machine, you could obviously, do this a little differently. And if you were using a bias tape maker, which I don't know where I put mine, but if you wanted to do the kind of over the edge trim, you could use a bias tape maker that's the right thickness for what you're doing, and use a sewing machine and just stretch stitch it attached over the edge. But I am just going to be serging because I do things super quick and messy, especially for pajamas. And I just line up my edges. And I don't like tight sleeves. I have big arms, as I've said before, so I tend to not stretch my sleeve trim very much. You could also just do a folded hem, but I like having this sort of trim color often, so I tend to do it this way. Makes for nice soft finished edges. Then you get your nice, easy finished edge there. You can set your sleeves aside and do the other one. I don't tend to pre-measure my trim. I just do a long strip of it and then, cut it off where I finish each part, but you can measure it out to be like an inch or two shorter than the length of the arm. That would be about right for an adult size. Just so it pulls in the right amount, but isn't actually tight or anything. So it folds tight, doesn't flip outward. That's really what that's about. And as soon as I get my terry cloth, as soon as they actually make my order ready, I will be filming the next video. Like I said, will be a hooded towel, 2 styles. Figured to go along with the little puppet washcloth. That'd be another cute kid option. You could make it with the same face to match the wash to make the little puppet. That'd be super cute. You could make, matching bath mat out of an old towel and some puffy fabric paint or something in the bottom so it's not no skid. Make a little set if you wanted to. I don't tend to do a lot of stuff for the bathroom or kitchen though. I'm one of those people that just has, kitchen towels and I guess oven mitts. That's it. Like oven mitts, hot holders, and kitchen towels. That's all I use in the kitchen. I don't even use aprons. I just change my shirt when I'm done. My kids like them though. I gave my kids each of the aprons that I made for videos. Not like they cook all that much though. My son has a little bit of interest. My daughter has no interest. My son also was the one interested in learning to sew when he was younger. My, daughter has never been interested at all. Got so quiet. Nobody wants to talk anymore. So sad. But yeah, if there's any other cloth diaper based stuff that you guys are still interested in seeing, or if you want me to go into more detail or more depth about a technique or a style, or just even, I could even do videos going over the fabrics and like, zoom in more with cameras or something like that. I'm happy to do more cloth diaper stuff. It seems like most of the techniques are the same thing over and over again, just with different layering and different materials. So I didn't want to totally wear it out. Like, I have way more patterns on my blog than I did videos for, but they're all using the same general methods. It's just piecing things together in certain ways. Really. Okay, for the sleeves, I'm just gonna lay it out face up. Take one of them. We're gonna put them faces toward each other. Find the middle of your sleeve. So for me, that's right about there. And put that midpoint against the shoulder seam on the shirt. And you can pin it or clip it. And since this is all knits, it's super easy to do. If you're doing a woven shirt, you really have to be careful, getting that seam in there because it's a concave against a convex. But for knits, because they're both stretchy, you could be a lot more, free about the way that you put them together. You just don't want it to pucker too unevenly. That's really the only limitation. And if you want to do a puffy sleeved shirt, you could make this curve a lot bigger than this curve, and then when you sew it together, it'll gather. That's how you get like those puffy shoulders. You could also pre-gather the, if you're using wovens, you could pre-gather the top of the sleeve and then sew them together after it's pre-gathered. For adult sleeves, I tend to clip kind of in outside of each side and then the very, very middle so that it's easy to line them up. For smaller ones, just the 3 clips is usually enough. So right about there. Just kind of roughly line it up. And then just serge around the curve. Oh, almost everybody went bye-bye. Okay, so there's the general curve of one sleeve. You can see how it hangs nice and evenly down. I'm not making a real form-fitted shirt, so I just left it nice and loose. And then when you're done with both sleeves, you're just going to go and serge up on the inside, inside out. And I just usually cut a little bit off and just kind of go all the way down the body. There's your nice sleeve seam. Super simple, super fast. Do the other side. I think I'm probably gonna stop this stream in about 5 minutes today, just because there's not a lot to cover without my supplies here yet. But sometime later this week I'll be putting up the hooded towels video, and if you guys have any requests or suggestions for the next video series to do, or for future videos, or for any, callbacks to anything that you need more coverage on, let me know. And we'll show what I have so far, and then I'll stop for today. You can go over like I did with the neckline and do a stretch stitch around the sleeves to help them lay flat, but you don't have to. Once it's all sewn together, they will stay outward instead of flipping up. And then there's sort of the basic t-shirt shape. When you're done with that, you then turn it inside out, and you can serge or zigzag stitch if you don't have a serger. Just going from the edge of the sleeves and then straighten this out and then sew down through the body and just all the way to the end. Just that one seam on each side, and then you just hem the bottom. And that's all there is to it for a t-shirt. Super simple, just like making the doll ones. You can do t-shirts or pajama tops or anything with a knit. You can make sweatshirts, hoodies. The same technique is used for all of those things. If you wanted to do a more form-fitted one, then your front and back pieces could be contoured, outside of that. So if you wanted to have like a sweatshirt that has like shaping in the bodice, that would be on the front panel before you then sew it to the back panel. So just like diapers, it's the same general assembly, it's just how you prep the pieces ahead of time. And that's it. I like to make sure I line up my seam points, but it's underneath the arm, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody will see it, especially for pajamas. The one time when I really pay close attention is when I'm trying to line up stripes. I really like getting, like when I'm cutting a front and back piece, I really like having stripes line up. So that's the one time when I really, really am careful when I serge down the side, is to get those stripes to make sure they line up. Nothing better than a perfect stripe lineup. Anyway, happy sewing.